Welcome back to the podcast. This week we interviewed Mal Blum, and it was a lot of fun talking with them, and we hope you enjoy it.
Year already, how you hoped that it would come. All the days and weeks unfolding as we buttoned up our coats and had it home. But what's a home? Another place you never go. Another space nobody knows. The things you do when you're alone. And I'm alone and you're alone again this year. I'm alone and you're alone again this year.
Thanks so much for talking to us today.
Yeah, thank you for the talking. What's up?
Awesome. All right. So we usually just kind of like to ease into everything by kind of getting to know your journey through music. So do you want to just start us off by talking about how you first got interested in music and kind of the impetus behind you pursuing it?
Sure, yeah. I'm pretty long-winded, so I will try to keep my answers on track and brief. But,
It's all right. We love it.
The most succinct explanation, I think, is, I was pretty sad kid. I needed a creative outlet, clearly. And so music was that, I guess, and like writing and stuff. And then, I guess writing and stuff had been that outlet. And then my dad had gotten a guitar, and he started having back spasms and stuff, and he couldn't play it. So I took it, and I taught myself how to play it, and started writing songs and stuff. And then after that, there's a whole trajectory that brought me to where we are right now. But that's pretty much how it all started.
Awesome. Are you totally self-taught on guitar?
Mostly. I did take guitar lessons at one point when I was around 16, but it was, we spent a lot of time talking, and the teacher ended up being kind of creepy.
Wait, we literally had the same experience.
That is so funny.
I think it's common.
I think it is
It's a common
too.
experience, unfortunately. But the weird thing about mine is that it was actually a woman.
Same
on our end.
Really?
Yeah, that's how we became friends, because we had the same.
We like trauma bonded through
Yeah.
her being a total just weirdo.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Wow, what are the odds?
I know, right?
How long ago was that?
Oh.
Probably like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That we got out.
But I was taking lessons with her for like 5 years, and you were taking lessons with her
For like 3.
Yeah. How long were you taking
Wow,
lessons with your guitar teacher?
Maybe about a year or so. But yeah, she like said some creepy stuff to me, and then I stopped taking lessons with her, and then I saw her like years later.
Ooh.
When I was like, I don't know, 21 or something. We played a gig for the same organization, and she said creepy stuff to me then too, and I was like, I knew she was creepy. God, I hope she's not still a guitar teacher.
We need to start a club.
Seriously.
Yeah, we should see if it's the same person.
Can you imagine? We come to find out.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
And then I quote unquote took guitar lessons in college as part of like, you had to take like private lessons for, whatever, my major. And by took guitar lessons, I mean that I met with my advisor, and he showed me YouTube videos of people that I should be listening, like musicians that I should listen to.
That's amazing. What a dope advisor.
Right?
That's awesome.
I have my issues with him, but I'll keep it light. I'm easy. I don't have issues with everybody.
What school did you go to?
I went to SUNY Purchase.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
So in that process of you kind of discovering music, you released a couple of records or EPs, and then that was all DIY. And then You Look a Lot Like Me was your first album that was not self-released, correct?
Yeah. So I had that I was into like recording and stuff when I was a kid, and like as a teenager, and then also in college. So the cool thing about that is that, like, you know, I could like record my friends and like record myself and record with my friends, and so like I just had a lot of albums by the time I was already like 22. But the bad thing about that is that I also had a lot of albums by the time I was 22.
All that teen angst.
Yeah, you know, like it's like I put my first album out when I was literally like 17, and it's like it's embarrassing. It's like, you know, but so yeah. The first label release was "You Look a Lot Like Me" in 2015 with Don Giovanni.
Nice. And so, how was that transition from moving between being primarily DIY to then being a part of a label?
I mean, it's like a pretty small punk label, so it wasn't that severe, you know. It's not like nothing really changed as far as like, I think I had all these lofty plans, like, you know, I was like, oh, we'll sign to a label, and then like everyone will pay attention to us finally, and like all these things will happen, but like, you know, it didn't really, you know, it's just like anything else. I mean, it definitely exposed us to like Don Giovanni's audience, which was a different audience for us, and like it definitely helped, I think, a little bit in terms of like having other people like invested in what I was doing, like from the label and stuff. But I would say with this one, which is like our second release coming up, the response has already been sort of like better than any other album that I've done, and so I think maybe it's starting to be a little bit of a transition. And I would say that the biggest transition for me now is sort of transitioning between doing all the music jobs for the band, basically, and now all of a sudden it's like, okay, so like now we just started working with a manager, and like now we have an agent, and now we have a publicist at the label, and like all these jobs that like used to be just me are sort of getting taken off my plate. So I feel like right now that transition is happening for the first time. So I'm interested to see like what will happen with that, because, you know, I haven't had nothing. It's not like I have nothing to do, but I haven't had all that space open up ever.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be a nice load off too, and kind of a good way to exhale and just be like, I did what I had to do, and then as a way of kind of separating your art from sort of the sales,
Business
PR
part of it.
part of it.
Yeah, it's like this like matter of like relinquishing control right now. For years, I'm like, oh, I just like need some help. Like, if, you know, if I got some help with this, like, you know, it'd be unstoppable. Like, but now that it's actually happening, I'm realizing like how attached I was to like sort of having control over everything. In the long run, it's a good thing. To quote my father, you know, no one's ever gonna work as hard for you as you work for yourself.
I guess it helps too, because I read that you had originally had 16 songs for that record, and then the producer helped you cut it down.
Yeah, that's the only record that I've had a producer for, technically, and that was Marissa, and she really did help. Like, she really did, like, sort of, like, listen to all the songs and say, like, I think that this is the record, I think that these are throwaways or whatever, and, you know, she's like, one thing about Marissa is that she's really good at being mean in a way that makes you not dislike her. That makes sense. But like, so she'd be like, God, Mal, like, you know, I don't want to like, you know, she'd be like, this song is like 2 minutes too long. I sent her a list of titles at one point, and she like sent something back being like, this all seems really obtuse, just pick some pretty words. I like looked up the word obtuse, and I was like, oh, obtuse means like dumb. Like, I just looked up, which is like pretty good burn that I had to look up what the word obtuse meant, actually. But anyway, yeah, so she really helped with that. And then for this new record that's coming out, we didn't have a producer, but the band was more involved than I, you know, have had a band be involved in the past. So like, you know, like Audrey and Barrett and Ricardo and me were all there while we were recording with the engineer. And so, like, everybody was sort of like we were just making decisions, you know. There wasn't like a producer there telling us what to do.
I know. I always feel like you would need, at least I would need, a third party to come in and tell me which ones to cut. They're your children. You write all those songs from the ground up and you love all of them, and every single one of them seems important. So sometimes it's nice to have a third party perspective.
See, I'm usually like, what happened with this one, and what happens with a lot of them is I'm like, these are all terrible. Like, that's what happened with this one. Like, I actually brought some songs to Audrey, and I was like, here's, like, every time I made a new demo, I'd be like, here's a demo, here's a demo, here's a demo. I, like, sent them all to her. We, like, got together, and I was like, I think they're all terrible. And she was like, no, I don't think so. I think that we should, just follow them, see where we can take them. And I'm like, all right, if you want it.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're not my children.
I hate them all. So
I hate all of
disappointed.
you equally, yeah.
Well, I think the thing that really drew us in to your music primarily was the really clever and just candid lyricism in each one of your songs. And so I'm interested, what is kind of your songwriting process like?
Yeah, it depends on the song for sure. Sometimes a lot of the songs are stream of consciousness. Some of them, most of them, start as music first, and then it's sort of stream of consciousness over it. Some of them, it's like I'm trying to write on a specific topic or theme, and some of them are sort of just, first-person narratives, like as it comes out of my head. And a couple of them were, it is more rare. It's more rare, but a couple of them were, writing pieces or poems first. But I usually keep those separate from the songwriting, actually. But every so often, like, a line will make it in. Like, there's a song on the last record called "Cool Party" that has a line in it that's was from a poem first. That was, like a really, really short poem that was like eating powdered eggs, thinking about how I would fly you to New York to watch you walk across a crowded room. And then I just ended up putting the second half of it into the song. But the first half didn't make it in, But, like, I don't know. It just depends. But, yeah, I'm trying to get stronger at editing. As I get older, I feel like that might be the practice that I'll need to focus on, It's so hard to self-edit.
Yeah, definitely.
What really connected me to the album was the overarching theme of the struggle with mental health. And as someone who struggles with it too,
You don't say.
yeah.
Did our podcast name give it away? Yeah.
But, like, struggling with it can be super isolating, especially with the stigmas around it. So, it's easy for people to not want to say anything for fear of not being understood or getting put into boxes. So the title, "You Look a Lot Like Me," it feels almost like you're holding up a mirror to the listener, and you're really putting out there all of your struggles and kind of being like, hey guys, here's all the stuff that I deal with. I don't know if you relate, but if you do, you're not alone. So Is that what you were kind of going with in naming the record what you did? And what was kind of the story behind it?
Yeah. I think for me, it's not conscious, or most of the time it's not conscious. Maybe it's becoming more conscious as I get older, but that is sort of like the ethos behind what I'm trying to do with everything, which is just like connect with other people that feel the way that I do, And so with that record in particular, it definitely, was about a lot of stuff around depression and isolation and, self-deprecating humor and going to therapy for the first time. And then with the new record, it's really about patterns of behavior and these sort of like cycles that I find myself in over the course of my life, these like repeating patterns, dynamics with people, and sort of like, those sort of contributors to mental health. But yeah, with the title of the last one, it's from that song, Better Go. And, yeah, it was sort of like, it is sort of like the comparison sort of like, you know, like looking in other people and being like, you know, I think I actually meant it I actually like your interpretation better in terms of like, you actually seem better. Like, you seem like you're doing better than me. Like, everybody else seems like they're doing better than me, but I think that underneath, you're actually struggling too.
Okay.
Sort of like,
I can see that too. That, like, kind of flip.
I like your interpretation better. Definitely is about holding up a mirror.
Yeah, no, I find all of the songs super relatable.
Yes.
And I also really loved how you, I don't know if this was intentional, but you started the album off with Archive, which is this kind of like stream of consciousness.
Like spiraling thoughts.
Yes. In your commentary, you were like, I was just like going through obsessive thought patterns, and you were like, I actually have a list of all the things I was thinking about. And you were like, am I dying? Is this pain? Blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, wow, this is so relatable.
Totally forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. I just like, it was like, I just like picked it up. And like, yeah, I just
so
like had like
funny.
a note in my phone or something.
And I love how it closes with the shrink thinks, because I think it's like a full circle kind of.
Yeah. It's almost
You know.
like being forced to be accountable for your thoughts by the end of it.
Yeah. I have not played that album for my shrink. You know, honestly, her judgment has been questionable last year or so. You know? What are you going to do?
I feel like I constantly question the validity of my therapist.
Oh,
I'm
no.
like a paranoid person.
Same.
I'm like, should I do this or not?
But speaking of your commentary, we loved the commentary you did for the album, and we would want to do that with a few of your other songs, if that would be cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love to talk about myself.
Well, then you were in the right place.
So the first one we want to start off with is Counting Your Breaths, which was the first song that really drew us in to your music. So do you want to give us the backstory on that one?
Ooh, yeah. See, okay, this might be hard because, like I said, because I started putting out albums when I was young and, like, still just, like, trying stuff out, there's a lot of songs that I'm like, I don't quite remember what I was thinking. But I think Counting My Breath was a breakup song. I was in a really bad relationship at that point in time. And that was like a big breakup song, but it was like one of like 12 breakups that we got in, so maybe that's why it like pales a bit. But I was trying to write a song. I think I was trying to write in different time signatures. I think that song's in 3, right?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't know. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I think that's how that song came about. I was just like, I'm going to write a song in 3, and also I was just sad.
The start of any great song.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was, let's see. I think the thing I like about that song, though, is there's like harp. There's harp on it.
Yeah.
And I like the dynamic changes, but it's not one that we necessarily like have ever played live, I don't think. Maybe once when the album came out.
Yes, and so you just released 2 singles off your upcoming album, Pity Boy, I Don't Want To, and Things Still Left to Say. So do you want to walk us through both of those?
Yes, those I definitely can, because they're fresher in my mind.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
And we're about to put out another single
Ooh, yay.
in a couple weeks. So, yeah, so that one, so I'll do it in order. So Things Still Left to Say is the first one that we put out. And that song is basically about, like, being in the closet, I guess. Where it's like this phenomena that happens where, at least in my experience, where the people closest to you, or like think that they're the closest to you, there's like this thing that you haven't told them, where you feel like they're not hearing about you, and so you feel like you're like, you don't even know me. and then that song is sort of about, like, I don't know, it's, like, about, like, sort of, like, well, maybe giving them a chance, like, it's sort of, like, struggles, or, like, there goes back and forth between, like, you don't know me, so, like, whatever, like, screw this, like, and, like, also, like, well, I don't feel close to anybody, like, I need to attempt to try to verbalize this and give people a chance if I ever want the possibility of anybody being close to me, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, totally.
So that's what that one's about. And I Don't Want To is sort of, was supposed to be like a fun, tongue-in-cheek song around a very real topic, which is my inability to say no to people because I'm afraid of disappointing them, which is manifested in my life in, like, a myriad of ways. I don't know, it's sort of like an exercise anthem for me in that, you know, it's like every night for, like, 3 minutes, you know, I'm just singing a song where I'm like, the premise is, like, I don't want to do something, so I'm not going to do it, you know? And, like, that is an important and good exercise for me. And actually, I was not trying to release those singles back to back because musically I think they're very similar, but that's just the way that it all ended up, just based on when we were able to shoot different videos and blah, 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 and I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Because nothing really matters that much.
Well, they're both awesome.
Yeah, and I think I can definitely see in both of those, like, what you had said earlier about kind of the trajectory of the new album, and that it's focusing on these sort of holding patterns that you get in with people and with yourself, which I think is definitely reflected in those two.
Yeah, the next one that's coming out is very, like, almost, it's more of a direct correlation, even than those two, which is, the next one is about, it's called Salt Flats, and it's about this sort of, like, numbness and, like, comfortability that you can, like, access with somebody, like, sort of lashing out or taking stuff out on you, and sort of, like, examining, like, where that comes from and, like, why that's the thing that, you know, a pattern that you can access and blah, 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 blah.
Well, yeah, we are super stoked for the new record.
Yeah. I'm very excited
yay.
about it.
I'm so glad. I hope you like it.
Yeah. Are you excited to go on tour?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, I'm really excited to have somebody else, like, helping book a tour for once, where I'm just like, oh shit, we can, like, promote these dates more than 1 month in advance. They're like, what? That's cool. It's cool for me.
Because Julia, you saw...
Yeah, I saw you at the Basement East when you were with Lucy.
Lucy. Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
That was a killer show.
She's the best. She's just, like, the best, smartest, nicest person working in music, I'm convinced.
She seems that way.
Cool person.
Yeah. It's always nice to have in the music industry, too,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, because, like, there's definitely people who have, like, I'm a really nice, like, and, like, open, vulnerable person as, like, their persona, and then you're just like, oh, you're not, though.
Well, because then I feel like it just cheapens their art, too, because you're like, if this is just, what part of this is real and what part of this isn't? Like, what part of this is contrived nonsense? And
yeah, like, how are you the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm going to put. I'm going to ask Aaron to put that in the press release for the new album. Just contrived nonsense.
Yes.
People have commitment issues, heard through the grapevine that you moved into a whole new life. Pay your bills on time, not month to month like some other guys. I'll never be like that. I can't tell you why. And you say no, and you do yoga, and you don't.
Oh shit, there's a rapid fire round? Alright, cool, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go. What is your go-to song to listen to when you find yourself in either a state of internal or external chaos?
Recently, Juice by Lizzo.
If you could score the soundtrack to any book, what book would you choose?
Oh shit, that's fucking awesome. Damn, that's a hard one. I think it would be really interesting to score, like, a male, like, there's this bodybuilding book called Muscle. I think it would be really interesting to score that, or something more contemporary along the same lines, I think would be. I guess it would be more fitting to like score one of Chris Gethard's books.
If your music was a coffee order, what would it be?
It would be like, can I have this thing? It's okay if you don't have it. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. No, thank you. I really appreciate it.
And then, like, just, like, slowly walking away.
You're like, I wanted a latte, but you look super busy, so, like, I'll just have black coffee. Like, I'm good.
That's exactly what it would be. And then you just walk into the seat.
What is one song you wish you wrote?
Oh, you know what? I know. If We Were Vampires by Jason Isbell.
Oh, yes. That is, like, such a beautiful song.
That's
Yeah,
like
it really
a
is.
love song in the way that I can, like, swallow a love song.
Yeah.
So
Surrounded by the macabre. Yeah.
If your music was to be placed in a reality TV show, what show would you want it to be in?
Vanderpump motherfucking Rules. That one I don't need any time for.
What is one moment from a concert or a festival that you would like to relive?
That's a really good question. Ordinarily, I would say none because I actually don't love going to shows that much. But I will say, when I was a child, I attended Woodstock 98. Woodstock 98, it was a thing. I was there. And fucking Joni Mitchell and, like, Melanie were there. And all these people. And I was, like, I don't know how old I was, like 10 or something. And I was a little asshole. And, like, it's like, I don't remember who played at that festival. It's cool. It would be cool if I could, like, go back and see Joni Mitchell and know who the fuck Joni Mitchell was.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
I
one.
feel you.
What is a favorite lyric of yours that you've written?
I wrote this 7-minute biblical concept song with Samson and Washington State, and I'm pretty proud of the lyrics. Sometimes I'm like, I want to do a whole biblical concept album because I think that would be a fun project. I'm, like, good at doing, like, individual theme or, like, writing prompts. And also, I really used to like that Thermals album. That was, like, a biblical concept album, and I heard that Hutch Harris is, like, a piece of shit. So I'm like, well, guess I gotta make a better one.
What is who is your dream collaboration?
Musical or otherwise?
Both.
I would say maybe somebody produces a series and I write a song for every episode.
Oh, that would be pretty
And,
cool.
like, I don't know, maybe, like, Roxanne Gay is the writer or something. Or Lisa Vanderpump wants to use my likeness in her new bar called Mal Mal. She asked me to invest in it, but I'm like, no, you pay me to use my likeness. And then she does.
I mean, all great options.
Yeah.
What is a band or artist you've been listening to on repeat?
Lizzo. I've been listening to that Lizzo album a lot because it just came out, and I'm trying to help my self-esteem, She's a lot.
And finally, what is a funny moment that you've had from a show while you were touring that you'd want to share?
Ooh, that is a very good question. Well, I guess from the last tour, my, like, strap kept falling, like, not breaking, but, like, pulling off of the guitar. I don't know why. It's not something that happens a lot, but it was happening at every show. And then Barrett, we would just keep playing, and, like, Barrett would just, like, come around and put the strap back on me. Well, but, like, it happened so many times that I was, like, but it was really funny that, like, it was really funny to me that nobody was like, Mal, you gotta secure your strap. Like, he just, like, fixed it for me every night, and it kept happening.
It's just it's stage choreography at that point.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, I guess yeah. Also, that's when I got into Vanderpump Rules, because two of my bandmates were like, you have to watch this terrible TV show, and I was like, fine. We started watching it, and then one of my other bandmates watched one episode, and then he was, like, deeply disturbed and, like, could not watch anymore. Like, he filled him with, like, existential dread, and he was like, no, I can't. Which, that was, I mean, it's really because he was upset by it, but it is kind of funny, like, if you remove yourself from it and you're like, aw, he's, like, this TV show, this toxic TV show is, like, really affected him emotionally.
Have you ever seen, Are You the One on MTV?
Oh, yeah.
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 That's a good one.
Have. What do they call it? The, Truth Booth?
The Truth Booth, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you
and
ever
the Boom Boom Room? Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's pretty
I thought
good.
those are great names.
It's like The Bachelor on, like, steroids, essentially.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen
Right.
it.
It's like The Bachelor, Love Island is like The Bachelor on steroids. Have you ever seen that?
Oh my God.
I have not seen that one.
So many of my friends have been like, you need to watch this show. It is the most incredible, like, piece of trash you will ever watch.
Is it on
Yeah.
MTV?
I agree. No, it's a British show.
Oh,
But it's
amazing.
on Netflix? No, it's on Hulu.
Hulu, yeah.
Okay.
And there's like 35 episodes a season. Like, there's so many episodes. And it's like, if you took Bachelor in Paradise and you removed, like, the whole, like, fake plot of romance, and you were like, gave them a monetary prize, and then also mixed it with Big Brother, where, like, anytime anything's going too well, like, the producers will just, like, intentionally fuck with them, and then that's Love Island.
Wow, I feel like that's in our plans for tonight. Yep.
Yeah, we know what we'll be doing now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where can everybody find you on social media and all that jazz?
Sure, yeah. I'm just Mal Blum, MALBLUM, pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or I guess for Facebook it's Mal Blum Music. I got a website, malblum.com. Keep it easy, you know?
I like it.
Sweet.
Thanks.
Yeah. And
Well, thank you so much.
Cool.
We really enjoyed talking with you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. It was really fun talking to y'all.
I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to, so I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to, so I don't want to, I don't need to, I'm not going to, 'cause I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to. Some people have commitment issues, heard through the grapevine that you moved into a whole new life.
to our interview with Mal Blum. You heard their social media, so you can find their music. And thanks for tuning in to another session. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.